Right now at noon, President Trump arrives in Vietnam ahead of the second summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. And Trump's former fixer begins 3 days of testimony, what Michael Cohen is expected to say about the president. Plus, we'll show you how the Sun Prairie Fire Department is honoring fallen Captain Corey Barr. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mark Kane. Thanks for tuning in to News 3 Now on this Tuesday afternoon. We'll get to those stories in just a bit, but first, let's head over to the Weather Center. Meteorologist Chris Reese has a look at your first alert forecast. Cloudy day out there, Chris.
It is a cloudy day out there, Mark. Perhaps getting ready to turn snowy, especially as we go into the rest of the afternoon. This cloud cover has kept temperatures on a much colder note out there. The last time I checked, we were only in the single digits, and there we go. We have finally warmed up 1 degree per the noon update to 10. And yes, in our forecast high for today is 18. We will see if we make it up that warm with the cloud cover helping to keep things colder. 8 as you work your way towards the Dells, 7 in Camp Douglas, but Janesville is at 16, and then Kenosha at 22. So we are right on the cusp of some of that warmer air, but we are also starting to see streaks of light snow developing to our north and west, working their way towards the south and east. So right as we get you towards the rush hour time period, expect some of that snow to be developing, and that could linger through the evening and perhaps into early tomorrow morning as well. Winter weather advisories are in effect to our north and east. That is where the chance for 3 inches or more of snow does exist, but all of us should see some light accumulating snow, Mark. I'll be breaking down the full amounts and how this could impact you guys coming up in Maine weather.
All right, not a huge storm.
Not a huge storm at all. No, especially compared to what we've seen earlier this winter.
All right, we'll check back in a few minutes. Thanks,
all right.
Chris. The Sun Prairie Police Department is investigating a threat at an alternate high school this morning. A note was found at the school about 8:15 this morning indicating a bomb threat at Prairie Phoenix Academy. That's on South Street. A representative with the police department confirmed that information. Prairie Phoenix Academy was evacuated and students and staff were taken to Cardinal Heights Middle School while officers investigate. Police say nothing suspicious was located. A Madison man is facing charges after he was accused of stabbing his housemate 2 weeks ago. Madison police say 26-year-old Luke Faircloth has been referred to the Dane County District Attorney on a tentative charge of attempted first-degree intentional homicide. Police say Faircloth and a 40-year-old man both rented rooms in the same house in the 800 block of South Midvale Boulevard. For unknown reasons, Faircloth attacked his housemate, and another housemate called 911, and Faircloth cooperated with officers. One person was arrested. Several firearms and fireworks were seized last night after Edgerton police were made aware of a person on probation posting about firearms on Facebook. Officers searched an address on Mechanic Street in Edgerton and found several firearms and some pyrotechnics and fireworks. The Dane County Bomb Squad and ATF also responded. Edgerton police say this is currently an active joint investigation and more information will be released soon. There is not currently a threat nor danger to the community. The highest-ranking Catholic leader ever charged with child sex abuse was found guilty of molesting 2 boys in Australia. Cardinal George Pell, a top advisor to Pope Francis, was convicted in December, but a court had forbidden publication of any details about the trial until now. The gag order had been put in place to avoid the possibility of influencing the jury in a possible second trial that is now not taking place. Pell was in charge of the local church's program to combat sex abuse at the time of the alleged crime. He has maintained his innocence. Pell's attorneys have filed an appeal. President Trump arrived in Vietnam for talks with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. He tweeted, "Just arrived in Vietnam. Thank you to all of the people for the great reception in Hanoi, tremendous crowds, and so much love." President Trump and Kim will dine together tomorrow night before they begin their official talks on Thursday. Trump may be willing to offer relief from crippling economic sanctions in exchange for North Korea ending its nuclear program.
We want denuclearization, and I think he'll have a country that will set a lot of records for speed in terms of an economy.
Lawmakers are skeptical North Korea will ever give up its nukes and will be closely watching those talks. And Trump's former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, begins 3 days of testimony on Capitol Hill with a closed Senate session today. Natalie Brand is on Capitol Hill with the latest.
Michael Cohen arrived on Capitol Hill Tuesday to testify before the Senate Intelligence Committee in a closed-door session. The committee wants to give Cohen the chance to correct the record after lying to Congress in 2017 about President Trump's plans to build a Moscow tower in 2016. They want to know, did someone tell him to lie? How many other Russia deals did Mr. Trump pursue? And who were his key business partners?
What I intend to keep focused on is untangling the very complicated financial arrangements between Donald Trump and Russia.
Cohen is set to report to prison in May for campaign finance violations and lying to Congress the last time he testified. Senators say they will have to corroborate his testimony with other information. Today is just the start. Potentially explosive testimony could come Wednesday during an open session before the House Oversight Committee. A source confirms to CBS News that Cohen plans to accuse the president of criminal conduct in connection with hush money paid to two women who claimed they had affairs with Mr. Trump. Cohen reportedly will also reveal financial statements to show the president may have engaged in tax fraud. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said in a statement, "It's laughable that anyone would take a convicted liar like Cohen at his word, and pathetic to see him given yet another opportunity to spread his lies."
And Cohen will wrap up his testimony on Thursday with a closed-door session before the House Intelligence Committee. Well, the newest mural at Station Number 1 in Sun Prairie honors Captain Corey Barr, who was killed in an explosion in downtown Sun Prairie last summer. The mural was painted by Stephen Brock with the help from Duke Ariel. Barr owned the Barr House and was the captain of the Sun Prairie Volunteer Fire Department. Abby Barr was the co-owner of the Barr House with her husband. The Barr House, along with several other businesses, were destroyed in that explosion. Nice honor. There's more to come on News 3 at noon. I'm next. We'll see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Can you name a dessert that's so widely loved that it's found in every part of the world? Stick around and we'll share what it is and how darn easy it is to make. So here's a question for you. Can you name a dessert that's so widely loved that it's found in every part of the world? It's not chocolate cake or apple pie. Those are favorites in our country. I'm talking about a dessert that's embraced everywhere. It's rice pudding. And to bring that old world taste into your world, here's how you make it. We started by combining some milk, rice, sugar, and beaten egg yolks in a pot over medium heat. After the mixture comes to a boil, we let it simmer for a bit until it thickens up. Just make sure you stir frequently so it doesn't stick. Now, we remove it from the heat, stir in some vanilla, and let it cool. Then it's ready to serve. Now, if you're wondering if you can use lactose-free nut or soy milk in this, sure you can. Whether you dish this up in a big bowl and let everyone dig in, or you serve it in individual portions, you can't miss. To get the recipe for our creamy, dreamy, classic rice pudding, all you have to do is visit our website. I like mine with lots of whipped cream and a little cinnamon on top. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found an internationally loved way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
All right, Howard, thank you. There's more to come on News 3 Now at noon. Up next, another cool and cloudy day across southern Wisconsin. We'll be seeing a warm-up anytime soon. Don't count on it. Meteorologist Chris Reese has your first alert forecast when we come back. Well, a face-off over drug prices on Capitol Hill, and one company brews up a new beer that may remind you of Saturday mornings. Diane King Hall has more in today's Money Watch report.
Top executives from several major drug companies are in the hot seat on Capitol Hill today. The pharmaceutical CEOs are being grilled on drug prices after legislators vowed to fight rising costs. Macy's is out with its quarterly report card, and earnings beat expectations despite a lackluster holiday shopping season. The department store chain says profit totaled $740 million during the fourth quarter. But you may remember last month the chain gave an early preview of its results, saying traffic at stores softened, and now it plans to cut 100 jobs. Strain in the housing market weighed on Home Depot's bottom line. The nation's biggest home improvement chain says earnings came in at $2.34 billion on sales of nearly $26.5 billion. Both numbers were weaker than expected. It dovetails with new housing data showing the number of new homes being built plunged in December. One brewery is pulling inspiration from the cereal aisle. Virginia-based Smart Mouth Brewing Company is set to release its Saturday morning limited edition beer on March 2nd. The beer is brewed with dehydrated and toasted marshmallows, a taste that may remind you of Lucky Charms. The can also looks a lot like the cereal box and features the slogan, "Magically Ridiculous." And that's your CBS Money Watch report. For more, head to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Diane King Hall.
Thanks, Diane. Let's check Wall Street at the noon hour. The Dow Industrial is down 27 points. The NASDAQ down 11. And the S&P 500 down about 1.5 points. Q106 Farm Director Pam Yankee out of the radio barn today. So here are your farm numbers. Chris Reese is here now with our first alert weather. Maybe some snowflakes flying around.
Yeah, that's right. Right now, things are mainly gray outside. We've had a lot of those gray skies out there all day, and that's really worked to keep a lot of those temperatures on the cooler side. In fact, temperatures across the area, mainly in the single digits and low teens. 10 degrees right now in Madison, 8 as you work your way up towards the Dells. Viroqua at 7 at this hour. 16, though, down towards Janesville. Kenosha is at 22, one of the warmer spots. But we do have winter weather advisories for all of northern and parts of eastern Wisconsin. And this is where there's going to be the greater chance to see more than 3 inches of snow as we go through the day. Here in town, we are actually free of those winter weather advisories, but as you work your way just to the north and just to the east, places like Westfield or Portage and Poynette under those winter weather advisories, it's going to go from 5 o'clock tonight until 9 a.m. on Wednesday. We're already starting to track this light snow work its way on into town. Here it is around the Dells. We zoom things out. You can see that streak of snow that extends all the way back towards the Twin Cities and really into parts of central North Dakota. I think this energy is going to come at us in pieces, but also increase in coverage as it works its way through this afternoon. That is when we are going to see more of those snow chances. So as we take you hour by hour, here's 2:30. More of us will begin to see that possibility of some snow. This is 5:30, your evening commute time, and keep in mind it is too cold to salt right now. So this could potentially be a period of some pretty slick travel as a lot of folks are headed home from work. We'll keep that snow around through the evening, and it'll start to taper off into the early morning hours of Wednesday. It's not going to be a lot of snow, generally 1 to 3 inches, with the heaviest just to the north and east. I think our GFS snowfall model does the better job of showing you that heavier snow to the north and east of Madison, but even still, it gives just about everybody a general 1 to 3 inches of snow. Beyond that system, we also pay attention to another chance for some light snow Friday into Saturday. Again, that does not look to be a major deal. The bigger deal is the cold that we're going to be dealing with. And the cold that we're going to be dealing with is in association with the snowpack that we have in place. This is the snowpack across the upper Midwest. Here are the temperatures across the upper Midwest. So you go from 60 or 59 in Paducah, 42 in St. Louis to 15 in Des Moines, and 4 in Minneapolis. That is no coincidence. Snow actually reflects sunlight and keeps it cold. That's because it has a high albedo. A lot of that solar energy gets deflected back into outer space, and a lot of the energy goes into melting the snow. And so because we have that snowpack, that allows a lot of those cold shots from Canada to not moderate. They just come at us full force. And so over the next 8 to 14 days, yes, This goes until the middle of March. I hate to be the bearer of bad news there, but we have a pretty much 80 to 90% probability of seeing below normal temperatures across the upper Midwest. We are talking a 7 to 10 day forecast that came straight out of January. We have lows perhaps of -7 and highs struggling to get out of the single digits and into the teens for the first weekend of March.
Doesn't spring officially begin for you guys on Friday?
Meteorological spring does begin Friday, and we are talking about a cold shot. So I guess Mother Nature wouldn't have it any other way.
right.
Real spring is March 20th, and we may be talking about the cold then too. In the meantime, there's no end in sight, but we will take it week by week.
Day by day at this point.
Yes, seriously.
The hits keep coming.
Yes,
All right,
they
Chris,
do.
thank you. There's more to come on News 3 now at noon. Up next, Michelle Swader is here to answer your diet and nutrition questions. The number to call, 270-9933. We'll get to your calls right after this. Dietitian Michelle Swader is here to answer your diet and nutrition questions. The number 270-9933. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
We're talking about net carbs first. That's different than the carbohydrates listed on the back of the package.
Right, and people who are really watching their carbohydrates or just really watching their calories for blood sugar or weight control, they look at net carbs. The problem is net carbs isn't a defined term. The USDA or the FDA doesn't have an official definition for that. So food companies can sometimes do a different definition than maybe your doctors or nurses or dietitians do. So what I look at is taking the total amount of carbohydrates that's on the back of the nutrition package and then subtracting the fiber. That's what I consider net carbs. And that will give you the net amount of carbs that's going to affect your blood sugar and give you calories. Now, some food companies also subtract the sugar alcohols, which I think maybe is going a little too far because sugar alcohols do a little bit increase your blood sugar and also impact your calories. So they will say net carbs on the front of the package, but always look at that label on the back.
All right, let's go to the phones. We will start with Kathy from Waupun. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, how are you?
Great. What's your question?
My question is, I wonder if coffee and tea counts for your water content for the day, or does this caffeine take away from its benefits?
Right, good question. Caffeine and coffee and tea do act as a diuretic, but in general, we don't count that against you. So a glass of tea that you have will also count for water.
So some people think coffee is a diuretic, and then you got to drink more water because you're drinking coffee.
Right, and that's, I think, going a little bit too far. You're still taking in most of that coffee or tea. Obviously, the vast, vast majority of it is water.
And what's the current thought on how much water you should have a day?
We still kind of use the 64 ounces as jumping off point. And then it really depends on what the weather is like, how humid it is, how much activity you're doing in a day. So basically just making sure that you're going to the bathroom regularly is a good way to tell if you're regulating your water correctly.
And it should be clear.
It should be as clear as possible.
All
yes.
right, let's go to Wendy in Mauston. Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
Hi, what's your question?
What is the best way to lower cholesterol without medication?
Very good
That
question.
is a good question.
Yes, I know a lot of people would like to avoid the medication for as long as possible. One of the things that you can do is actually increase the amount of good fats you're eating, which seems kind of counterintuitive because we've kind of been taught that all fats are bad, but we're learning that the good fats actually help our cholesterol numbers. Another thing that you can do is try to increase the fiber that you're eating. And so that would be your fruits and vegetables, of course, and the whole grain cereals, like whole grain pastas, wild rice, brown rice, things like that.
What you should stay away from?
Probably stay away from more of the saturated fats if you can. You know, your milks and your dairies and stuff is okay, but sometimes when you look at fried foods and ice creams, those have a little bit too much. And sometimes if you're just having a lot of processed foods, that can raise your triglycerides, which can also affect your total cholesterol.
And so what are the numbers we're shooting for now? What's the new guidelines for the good and the bad?
Well, so the good cholesterol you want to get as close to 40 or as above 40 if you can. So that's your HDL number. The triglycerides you want, and I think that's a lot of times the most impactful number, you want to try to get below 150. And I think with diet changes and exercise changes, you can affect those numbers as quickly as possible.
All right, we're out of time. If you're on the line, stay there. Michelle will talk to you off the air. Good to see you.
Good to
see you next time. Chris has one final check of the forecast.
Cloud cover out there right now, but we are waiting the next round of light snow to arrive here in south central Wisconsin. Again, not a huge deal, but we are looking at 1 to 3 inches of snow in Madison, 3 to 5 as you work your way north of Fond du Lac.
All right, that's our time for now. Be careful on your drive home. We'll see you back here at 4. Have a great afternoon.
Now